Hello, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk, the weather block here on this third day of August. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. It is now 51 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Thursday. All right, guys, got a lot to cover today. So I apologize in advance because I got a little bit limited amount of time, a little bit behind here today, trying to get to a lot of info, at least put into the system as I can. I'm probably overloaded the topics today, so I apologize in advance. I didn't mean to. But I want to cover as much as I can and go out as long as I possibly can in detail, only because we don't have a chance to do that on television, of course. So this is the time to do that. So what I'm going to do, as always the case, I'm going to give you the current setup, and then we'll walk you through the future plans step by step, get you through the weekend and into next week. Now, I know you're going to have a lot of questions. If you do, certainly on the as far as timing and planning, just be patient with me and let me explain it all first. And then if you still have questions, then we'll come back around. What I need you to also do to help me out here is if you are in Meade County, Breckenridge County, Hardin County this morning, let me know how much rain you picked up, because you're going to see some of the rain totals, but we only have rain gauges in certain places. So your totals are important too. So let me know how much rain you did pick up today. I know at my house, I've only picked up about 0.3 of an inch of rain. Airport is pretty close to that, about a half inch. So it wasn't anything excessive, which I'm glad for my yard. But some of you got quite a bit of rainfall, which we're going to cover here in just a second. I see your comments, by the way, if you're watching on the streaming devices, whether it's Roku, Fire Stick, or you're watching on the app itself right now. You're not able to see the comments when I talk about them and they fly up, so I apologize. You will in the replay when I'm done, if you want to watch it back for your entertainment. For those that are on Facebook right now and Twitter and on YouTube, you can actually see the comments. So you have a chance to question, or at least put questions there. So if you're on the app, you'll have to go to a social media page to type in if you need to do that. And I thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. In Hardin County, over 2 inches is your gauge there. Aubrey says it's been pouring like crazy in New Albany all morning long. It was not a fun drive, right? Angela, thank you so much. About 2.5 in Ratcliffe. That's a good drink of water. I'm going to show you some of the rain totals we've got coming in on the gauges we have here in just a second. Let's get you to the radar. Talk about what is happening now. There's nothing severe, by the way, with this in our area. No severe thunderstorms or anything like that, and we're not expecting that. This is just what we call an MCV, which I say MCS a lot, but this is MCV, which is a mesoscale convective vortex that can develop. And these are like little mini low pressures that kind of just move across regions that can produce very heavy rainfall if they are slow. This one is not overly fast, don't get me wrong, but at least it is moving. And it's hard to see the general spin, but the spin is there right over central Kentucky. The northern side of this here is going to be probably one of the last places to fade out. So the rain here in Louisville to Frankfort and Lexington is going to take a little bit longer to thin out, but it'll begin to thin out in weekend and then fade away. The main push of heaviest of rain now is into southern Kentucky and moving out into Tennessee. We still have some flood advisories out, by the way, which we'll cover in just a second. You can see the severe weather. This is the nasty part, is this diving line. How many times have we seen this out of Missouri heading toward Nashville? 8 times, something like that. I mean, it's been crazy. The pattern has been very repetitive, and the storyline has been very familiar to us. And that severe weather has continued to dive right into Tennessee today. Again, that is south and west of us. We do not have to worry about that. The reason why we are looking at this is this will also tell us about the next round. And there is another round that'll be tonight into about this time tomorrow. And it will likely develop on the tail of whatever happens with this band. So given where it's located here into Missouri, down in Tennessee, this is where the next round should form. Therefore, some of that may try to build a little closer to us tomorrow morning. Some of the latest modeling is trying to bring some of the rain into us for rush hour tomorrow. Some of it keeps it all the way west of even Ohio County to western Kentucky and misses us all together. So we're still working on that aspect of the forecast of whether or not this second round is going to be an issue or not. Meanwhile, I mentioned the flood advisories that are out for central Kentucky, although at the moment it looks like I don't see anything populating, so they may have already let them go. They expire officially at 10, so 5 minutes from now, but looks like they've already let them go, which is a good thing. Here's some of the totals we've got. 2.44, that's since, 24-hour gauge there into Meade County, Brandenburg area. You see the yellow that is showing up. Let me zoom in this a little more. Sorry, you zoomed out. Anywhere in yellow is 2 inches or more. So across Indiana, Crawford County, southern areas there in Crawford County, even a little hint of about 3 inches right there on the border of Perry and Crawford. So let me know if anyone's there. Into Meade County, Hardin County, very far southern Bullitt, and LaRue, all the way into Marion and northern Taylor. That's where you've got your heaviest of rain this morning, and much lighter amounts to the north, and I wouldn't say light, but decent, about an inch on the southern side of that. That one particular band was the most intense. There's Tyler checking in right now from E-Town. He's got 2.65 into E-Town this morning. Let me see if I get any more totals. I think that's the only one I got there. Okay, Karen's got about a quarter of an inch in Frankfurt. So yeah, you're in the northeast side. So you're okay there in Frankfurt. So thank you. And Kendra, we didn't get any rain into Madison. Yeah, that we were thinking at first we were going to see a second band that would form on the northern side here of this MCV or MCS this morning that would form and produce a heavier band north. That ended up being a little closer to Meade County. So the modeling and our thoughts, too, were off about 2 rows of counties on this. Everything was a little shifted west. Some of the models did say that would happen. We were trying to account for a little more of an eastern factor here, kind of wobbling back and forth on the idea. These are not easy until they form. So once it formed, it was easy. But yesterday, before it did, that's not such an easy task. But you guys certainly were just at the point where, yeah, you were missed. You were missed on that. Louisville, by the way, in the metro, as far as the gauges go, we've got 0.8 in Jeffersonville. That's not bad. I'm not sure about the 0.2 at here at the station. I got a feeling our sensor is probably taking a nap. The airport, roughly about 0.4 at the airport. So that kind of lines up well. Fern Creek gauge looks like it's out. About 0.8 in Valley Station. And then you get into Crestwood, a little over 1/10 of an inch. So the more south you traveled, the worse it was there. Let me show you the camera. This is actually from top of the Waterfront Plaza in downtown Louisville right now. Yeah, it's a little fog. It's off the ground from many cases, but it is quite soupy. It's the best way to word it. Now, that will lift. The base of it will get higher and higher as we head through the day, so it will not look like that all day long, but for the next few hours, it will, certainly where it is raining. All right, got some more totals I want to pass on real quick here. We've got, let's see, Mark in LaRue County, 3/4 of an inch. Daniel, that's on YouTube. Hi, Daniel, on YouTube right now. Monticello, about a 1/2 inch so far off to the east. And see, Carolyn. Thank you, Carolyn Trent. 1/2 inch into Bloomfield, Kentucky. Susan, 2.96 in Brandenburg. Nelson County from Mark, 1.5 inches of rain. Thank you, guys. These reports do help, so I appreciate that. On the flip side, today is Thursday, which means the drought report came out. And switching gears rapidly here. The reason why I'm showing that is because our northeast counties were added back into a low-end drought status last week. That has been removed. So all of Wave Country, we are fitting perfectly in a surrounded by drought conditions and spots, but we are clear from that. The ground was sampled Tuesday. It'll be sampled this Tuesday. I got a feeling it will improve even more. But man, look how bad it is in the plains. Now, this should improve if the weather pattern looks the way it does. These systems are diving so far east, they're just scooping up too much moisture on the eastern side of them when they move in. And when they form and are diving down, they're just not hitting the right spots. I mean, they're getting some rain, but it's not enough. The heat shield is so dominant in the plains right now. But I do think it'll flatten. This will kind of squish in the next 5 to 10 days. We'll begin to push the jet stream down a bit more in this area. So I'm curious to see how much of this will get eroded away. The idea is, looking at the long-term data, that it will indeed improve. Okay. Let me show you some high-res modeling. First round, again, moves out. Couldn't even get some sun here this afternoon. Possible. The more sun we get, obviously, the warmer we're going to get this afternoon. We can easily jump well into the 80s. Just depends on how fast that happens. All right. So these systems are, again, move slow. MCVs usually move a little slower than models show. So don't get too excited about an 89 this afternoon. A little suspect on that one. Or as the kids say today, that's sus. I'll try to be hip, but I am a boomer. All right. As we move into the rest of the afternoon, looking good there tonight. Here's the second piece. Remember, again, it's likely going to form where the first piece is, and that's likely going to be across the Mississippi Valley around Paducah. Some of that may try to reach our way. We'll watch and see if that impacts the morning commute. I don't see anything severe on that end. Once we get into Saturday overall looks quiet. The only thing about Saturday is going to be a few thunderstorms that will move through the Midwest that will try to build in our area. I don't think they have enough support to get all the way to the other side of the Ohio River. They may try to make a run at us, but they will run out of gas and fuel for Saturday, but we'll watch it. Right now, I think it's going to be a limited issue. Once we get into Sunday, in fact, some of those may fade to just general showers. That makes sense on this model. We could have showers when you wake up Sunday morning just because they faded out and then they kept going. And the leftovers, if you will, just kind of linger over us. That happens a lot. So that I would not roll out for Sunday morning. But then we get into Sunday afternoon. This is a pretty potent system that's moving through the Great Lakes. It's got a decent wind field with it, something we have not seen too much of this summer season. Good wind field moving through the Great Lakes, moves like a bowling ball through the Ohio River Valley. This is a setup where the worst of the wind shear is more north, closer to the red L, and weaker the more further away you are. And that's exactly how the severe risk is going to play out. It is very easy to figure out on severe weather with this kind of a setup. The challenge is, yes, you got the wind field. That's easy. What you don't have the full answer on will be the fuel. Will there be clouds, rain, where you get some sun? Will that limit thunderstorm coverage? And it affects timing as well. So those questions still got to be worked out. But the idea is that the amount of fuel is going to build on Sunday and the wind fields will worsen. And that will be a good overlap for thunderstorms to react to as we head into Sunday and Sunday night. And even Monday, depending on if the front is slow. Some of the models move this through and gets out of here, sunrise on Monday. Some are a little slower, which could mean a 2-day event of severe weather. That's not good and not fun at all. But it depends on how fast the front moves through. The bowling ball itself, the red L, the low pressure, should have no problem. It's not going to stall. It's going to keep moving. The problem is the tail, the front. It will get close to us, but it may drag its feet because it's sensing a much weaker environment of wind fields across the deep south, Atlanta, Birmingham area. So the front pushes through. It's got a good kick from the low in the hindquarters there. But once it gets down toward the river and into the Tennessee Valley, it just, it's like, wait a minute, you're leaving me behind, So the front just kind of slows down, and that's a problem when that happens because that messes up timing. And if it still lingers, you still have the fuel to work with. Not as much wind field, but you still have the fuel. So we need to watch and see how this plays out for Sunday and Monday, whether or not it's a prolonged event or not. Storm Prediction Center does have this insight risk already for Sunday to account for that field of wind moving through. It's basically outlining the wind fields, what that's doing, and any fuel that will be around. This likely will be a setup that's going to feature alert days because once we get into Monday, the severe risk is not really in our area, but it is to the east, and it drags a little bit in Kentucky to account for maybe a slower idea. This is an early assessment of this. This could easily change, and it will change. So our challenge is trying to figure out when to put the alert days out, because will this be a late Sunday night issue and early Monday, or will we miss it altogether? And right now, so far, the data I've looked at is hinting that there will be a good chance for storms to fire up in the heat of the day on Sunday. They could become severe. So I think Sunday is probably going to be an issue for an alert day. Monday morning through midday, if the front is still around, areas east of I-65, so Frankfort, even toward Henry County, Shelby County down to the south, you guys still may be in that zone on Monday for lunch for some severe weather. So there is a chance we may have another alert day on Monday. That is still being looked at and decided on, but it's possible. One thing that's interesting, here's the outlook from the SIPs or the analogs, showing looking at the weather pattern and comparing it to previous events in the past where severe weather happened. And this is for Sunday. And you can see that we are in that risk zone. The interesting thing is the CSU Colorado State learning module that has done really well at predicting severe weather. You can see the severe risk I mentioned on Sunday on the right from the Storm Prediction Center. Its modeling is focusing more into the Midwest. It is accounting much more for a southern influence there. So it's odd to see them in that much disagreement. So I'm curious to see what happens with the midday trends on that. Looking at the SREF ensembles, always looking at this. I love the squiggly lines. What you need to look at here is the wind shear, and that is the 40 knot line right through there. I believe it's got that right. It's that one. Let me make sure. Yeah, I believe it's a 40 knot one. So you get into more, yeah, it's 40. So you get right into here. This is going to be Sunday. That's when the wind field is high enough that you can get some severe weather. You can see a couple of times there. It's close even this weekend, but Sunday appears to be a little more of a spike. I also looked at the European Extreme Index, which I thought was interesting because I know this looks like a lot of colors and like, what in the world am I looking at? Here's Louisville. This is for just general wind as we head into Sunday and Monday. This is interesting because this is like wind advisory type level of winds for the upper portion here of the Ohio Valley. I see our gust right now could go to 35 miles per hour. I'm mentioning this because we really haven't had much in the way of wind after having a lot of wind this spring, 2 big windstorms, record-breaking windstorms. It's been quiet, which it normally is in summer. It's like the doldrums of summer. The wind doesn't move very much, right? But as we head into this weekend, it actually will be a windy setup for Sunday and Monday. So something that's a little different. I don't know if we'll get to wind advisory level. I know it will not be a windstorm event on wind, but I just want to mention that it will be windier than it has been as of late. Just gives you an idea of how strong the system is as it moves through the Great Lakes. Then we don't have much of a break because we get into next week, and I'm already eyeing a system here that looks even stronger than the one this weekend that will move in about Wednesday or Thursday next week. Already, to me, that one looks like it is going to be an alert day setup and severe weather. It's already got everything on the checklist for it. Even this far out it does. Now, it's still far out. It's a week out, nearly a week out. So there's a lot of questions, but just be aware that that will be a system to watch. What I'm more concerned about is the idea that it could happen on a Wednesday, and that's when we have our largest school system, JCPS, going back. And I really don't want to deal with that. No one does on the first day. I'm hoping it's more delayed. I hope it doesn't happen at all, of course. But if there's a timing issue, I'm hoping it's a little later, like Wednesday night, something like that, to where we don't have to worry about anything with school at all. But anyway, that's just a big heads up on that. Afterwards, I teased about this on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, that there is still a sign of a cool push. These low pressures are getting stronger that are showing up in the modeling. This weekend is a kickoff to that. Even the rain snow line aloft is showing up into Canada. It's not going to snow there, but it is showing up early, indicating that we're going to get stronger low pressures. They're going to try to drive in some cooler air, really fighting this heat wave. Could we get some cooler weather here as we head through the month of August? It is possible, but it's all about how deep the lows or how much of a dig they dive. And I don't know yet how much of a dive that will be, but that will be interesting to see as we head through the month of August. It has been that kind of year, right? All right, quick update on rain totals, and then I've got to run. I'm sorry, guys. It's already 10:09, and I've got to get ready for the midday. No rain in Henry County. You may get a little bit right now moving in, Hayden, but it's not going to be a lot. Tina, will Clark County be at risk on Monday? Right now, Clark County is more at risk Sunday afternoon, evening than I would say on Monday. Angela, thunderstorms on Sunday makes for a lazy day, good napping weather. Yeah, except for me. Means that we'll all be probably having to work. We don't want that. All right, guys, look, I love y'all. Appreciate it. Thanks for spending your time with me. It's always a blast, even though I'm the one talking and I don't hear you. I appreciate your comments and your rain totals. Keep those coming. Just stay tuned to the forecast the next couple of days as we fine-tune this setup here for the weekend and into next week. I promise you, we are watching it closely. I'll see you guys coming up in about 50 minutes on Wave News Midday.